to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough, because I always pause to pay homage to that, to all of you out there who've supported this show. Obviously, millions of downloads courtesy of iHeartRadio, not to mention YouTube subscriber base that has now eclipsed 1.26 million. In support of this show. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. Keep it coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. To continue to like and follow the show, just click the bell to get notified for all of our newest content, and you too shall consider yourself the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. And while doing that, please make sure to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. That's straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm going to get into today. You know, Trump and his big, beautiful bill. Zohran Mamdani, the new Democratic nominee for the mayor's position in New York City, in all likelihood. I'm going to get into all of that. But make no mistake, even while I'm sitting here on vacation, since you're not going to see much of me this summer, because I'm off the airwaves of ESPN and beyond on a break finally, there are some people that have been talking a lot of about me. And, you know, I'm going to address it. I'm going to address it. I mean, I've been really nice. I don't think people realize how nice I have been. And I'm going to be nice today. But I think it's necessary for me to say a couple of things before today's show ends. Just going to throw it out there. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? But first thing I'm going to do is get into President Trump and what the hell is going on in the nation's capital. Trump's big, beautiful bill. That's where we're going to get started as we quickly approach his self-imposed deadline of July 4th, when he would like to sign a bill into law. It was a marathon weekend on Capitol Hill where Republicans suffered some setbacks, including one GOP senator announcing he will not seek re-election after opposing the package over its Medicaid health care cuts. An all-night session to consider an endless stream of proposed amendments to the package in what's called a vote-a-rama was abruptly postponed, but it's now underway. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office found that 11.8 million more Americans would become uninsured by the year 2034 if the bill becomes law. The group also said the package would increase the deficit by nearly $3.3 trillion over a decade. There's a couple of things that we need to consider here, ladies and gentlemen, as we discuss this, okay? And I'm just looking at some of my notes because I think it's important to bring this stuff up. What Trump is trying to do, and what the Republicans who support the big, beautiful bill, because, I mean, it's Trump, so obviously the bill has to be big. It has to be beautiful, okay? This is Trump we're talking about here, right? What they're doing is kicking the can down the road. That's what they're doing. Let's call it what it is. Because when you talk about curbing spending and what have you, I mean, is it really? If it's adding $3.3 trillion to the budget, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, is that what it's doing? We all know what the priority is. We all know why Trump has absolutely positively emphasized this bill being passed. Because the whole objective is to make sure that the tax cuts he instituted in 2017 remains in play, and that upon its expiration, that all of a sudden people are spending more in taxes and have less in their pocket. Then all of a sudden we're going to be talking about inflation and other things. He doesn't want that because that could compromise the Republicans, the GOP, with the midterms. Come on, y'all. We know this. And I'm just looking at some of my notes from here, right? Because I'm looking at and I categorized it 2 ways. One is what the GOP says about the big, beautiful bill, and the other is what the Democrats are saying about the big, beautiful bill, okay? If you're a member of the GOP, what's the objective here? Quote, the one big, beautiful bill will implement President Trump's Make America Great Again agenda by delivering the largest tax cut in American history, the largest border security investment in history, and the largest deficit reduction in nearly 30 years. That was a quote by Donald Trump just a few weeks ago, okay? So we have to remember all of that, all right? That's number one, okay? Because it's very important. We can't just ignore this kind of stuff because we got to quote the president, right? I'd say we do. Here was what the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said at that particular moment in time. Today, the House has passed the generational, nation-shaping legislation that reduces spending, permanently lowers taxes for families and job creators, secures the border, unleashes American energy dominance, restores peace through strength, and makes government work more efficiently and effectively for all Americans. This is what they're talking about. And what they're going to do, extension of the 2017 tax cuts, new tax breaks, SALT deduction increase, state and local tax. That's what SALT stands for. Deduction cap is raised from $10,000 to $40,000 for married couples earning up to $500,000, addressing concerns from representatives in high tax states like New York and like New Jersey. And also, the big, beautiful bill is supposed to be something that supports small businesses. Why? Because they're saying provisions such as the reinstatement of immediate R&D expensing and increased pass-through deductions aim to bolster small businesses and domestic manufacturing. This is what they're saying. This is the GOP now. Their interpretation of it. Work requirements. The bill imposes work requirements for Medicaid recipients, a move Republicans argue will reduce fraud and ensure aid research reaches the truly needed. Amongst other things like eligibility verification, coverage restrictions, all of that stuff. That's what the Republicans say. Now let's go to what the Democrats have to say about the big, beautiful bill. According to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, okay, this is when it was passed by the House, because remember, the Senate still got to approve and all this other stuff. But this is at the time, this is weeks ago. He said, we believe it's one big, ugly bill that's going to hurt the American people, hurt children, hurt families, hurt veterans, hurt seniors, cut health care, cut nutritional assistance, explode the debt. That's what Hakeem Jeffries said at the time. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, what did he say? This is not one big, beautiful bill. It's ugly. There's nothing beautiful about stripping away people's health care, forcing kids to go hungry, denying communities the resources they need, and increasing poverty. They get specific. Health care cuts. The bill imposes work requirements for Medicaid recipients and reduces federal Medicaid payments to states, potentially leading to millions losing coverage. Point number 2, tax benefits for the wealthy. Democrats argue that the bill extends tax cuts primarily benefiting high-income earners and corporations while offering minimal relief to working and middle-class Americans. What else did they talk about? Increased deficit. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the bill could add $2.3 trillion to the national deficit over the next decade. Now the next thing you know, they're up to $3.3 trillion. So let's keep that in mind, okay? Number 4, social program reductions. The legislation includes significant cuts to SNAP. That's food assistance and other safety net programs, which Democrats believe will exacerbate poverty and hunger. Last but not least, restrictions on reproductive and LGBTQ plus health care. The bill prohibits Medicaid from covering gender-affirming care and services provided by clinics that offer abortions aligning with conservative social policies. That last part right there, you're going to have some people that's up in the air about that. And I'll tell you where you're going to lose that argument if you're the Democrats. You're going to lose that argument is that if you are of the mindset that, you know what, we support stuff without parental guidance. And without parental interference. When you're trying to sit up there and promote children being able to make decisions for themselves, parents ain't going to go for that. Parents ain't going to go for that. So you need to do everything that you can, even though that's not going to happen under Trump's administration. You need to do everything you can to separate yourself from that issue. I'm telling you that right now, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Now, having said all of that, to get back to the Republicans and this representative from North Carolina who's not going to run again, the Senate, I believe. Let's understand something here. When you have GOP members talking about they're going to have 600,000 plus members of their constituency that are going to be without health care in a matter of years, that's what's going on in North Carolina. That's why that senator won't support the big, beautiful bill as presently constructed. That's what's going on. But the fact that millions upon millions of people are in danger of losing their health care, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a problem. Because the GOP swore to us that that wasn't happening. The GOP swore to us that that wasn't a concern that we had. Donald Trump swore that wasn't a concern we were going to have. And now members of his own party are jumping ship. And if this continues, all you need is 1 or 2 more officials to go against them. Then the Republicans ain't gonna be able to get it through they're not gonna get the bill to the president's desk. Now, Trump's giving them a July 4th deadline. It's July 1st tomorrow. So they better do something. They better do something. But I'm going to tell you something right now. No matter which way you slice it, the desolate and the disenfranchised are in more danger now than they were before. There seems to be some inconsistencies and some untruths being told by our elected officials. Clearly, millions of people are going to have their health care compromised. And I'm thinking about all of this and I'm saying, what in the hell is going on? I can't believe it myself. But I tell you, something better be done. Something's going to have to be done. Because if they don't fix this quick, fast, and in a hurry, the Republicans are going to be in trouble during the midterms. And Trump knows it. And if the Republicans lose the midterms in the House, in the Senate, where the Democrats get a majority, he's not going to be able to get anything passed. And he knows it. I'm just looking at some of these things here. Some of the things that the Republicans swore up and down. And it is getting alarming. Talk about the cost of Medicaid up 78%, Medicare up 75%, Social Security up 73%. Democrats are saying Americans, these are the Republicans that send me these notes. Democrats are saying Americans will die with that massive increase in spending. Senate Republicans are right saying we need to cut it. But the bottom line is they're trying to jumpstart the economy. See, in the end, what Trump believes at his heart of hearts is that everything is stirred by the economy. As long as the economy is flowing, people ain't worried about it. So what? Medicare cost and Medicaid cost and all of this other stuff comes into fold. If you have a flourishing economy, then ultimately people will be able to afford to spend. And as a result, they'll be able to take better care of themselves in the process. That's what he's thinking. Whether I'm buying that, I'm not sure. I'm going to listen to more and more because what I really, really want to hear more about is these assertions that millions are going to lose health insurance. That's what I want to find out about. That's what we all need to be looking at right now. I got bigger things to talk about moving forward, though. And one of the other things that I need to talk about is this man, Mr. Mamdani, because I think it's necessary. He's coming up next. He's the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York City. But here's the question. Even with everything we just discussed about the big, beautiful bill and what both sides are saying, and how even folks on the GOP side are in danger of, they're fearful that millions of Americans are going to lose their health care insurance. Even with all of that being said, with Mamdani as the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York City, the question still needs to be asked, even as we throw shade on the GOP right now because of the way things are going with this big, beautiful bill, whether or not this could be the worst possible outcome for Democrats. Having an avowed Democratic socialist on the verge of becoming mayor of the largest city in the United States. We got to get into that. I'm also going to get into Giannis potentially being a New York Knick. I'll touch on that later on in the show too, but not before I get to this. That's up next right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Back with more in a minute. All right, everybody, listen up. With all the big-time sports action that's happening each and every day, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of it all. That's why we partnered with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use, you know. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. Choose from any of your favorite players, all in the same entry. Then sit back and watch. The list is endless. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups. Just use promo code SAS and download Prize Picks now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 in lineups instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Hey, run your game. Welcome back. Now let's get to Mr. Zohran Mamdani. He is the man, the Democratic Socialist, self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist that ran for the mayor's seat in New York City. Anyway, he had a big win in the New York City's mayoral Democratic primary last week, and it turned heads throughout both parties. Mamdani, a member of the state assembly since 2021, would be the city's first Muslim and Indian American mayor if elected. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams skipped the primary and plans to run as an independent in the general election. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, whom Mamdani defeated, has not ruled out the option of running as an independent himself. Cuomo and Mamdani represent the Democratic Party's ideological divide, for those of you who have not been paying attention, with one candidate, Mamdani, being a young progressive who identifies as a Democratic Socialist, and the other, obviously Cuomo, who's an older moderate from a legacy political family. And there are some who fear the direction of the party is headed with this, where the party is headed with this shift in New York. They should be worried. They should be worried. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear. If the Democratic Party becomes the likes of Zohran Mamdani, who, by the way, I like, not trying to throw any shade on him or anything like that, but if the Democratic Party becomes him, you have no chance. You have no chance. On a national basis in terms of the presidency, in Senate seats in the House, you have no chance. You have no chance. I want to be very, very clear about that. You might have a Democratic Socialist sprinkled here and there, but that ain't what America is. America's about capitalism. America's about dollars and cents. America's about an economy, a flourishing economy. Okay? And you know what it's not about? Free stuff. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Now, let me tell y'all something right now. Have you seen some of the things on this brother's agenda? I just want to say this because it's necessary. This is Mamdani's agenda. Okay? Again, 33 years old, bright, smart, very articulate, and very energetic, walked from one side of New York City all the way to the other side. You ain't seeing some of these elder statesmen doing that. Damn it, our feet hurt. We ain't trying to do that. It's hot weather outside. It's 100 degrees. They gonna get out and vote. They gonna get out and do what they can, knock on doors and everything like that. Them older Democrats, them older representatives, those older elected officials, they ain't trying to do that. I got you there. But ultimately, the cows got to come home. The chickens have to come home to roost, proverbially speaking. And let's look at the agenda. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I got white and black people working for me. All of them younger. Except my boy Rashawn, he's an old ass. But that's a different side of another day. That's a different story for another day. His old ass worked for me too. But everybody else younger. Everybody else younger. Now let me tell y'all something right now. Even young, I know my man Izzo is watching, smiling. I know my man Griff is hiding with his glasses on, with the beard and all of this. Sometimes, by the way, as an aside, I wonder about Griff with that beard, what he trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to go there. I ain't going to go there right now. But I'll leave it alone. Anyway, I know Sherry listening. I know she listening too, but she in another part of the country, so she ain't counting with this one. But damn it, she might too. Let me tell y'all something right now. When I tell you that Mamdani's agenda, freezing the rent, so you know the price can't elevate, right? Fast, fare-free buses. Nothing wrong with Department for Community Safety. No cost childcare. Free childcare. Free. 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 Okay? This is what he's saying now. Okay? City-owned grocery stores. Now, y'all know when stuff is handled by the bureaucrats, it's one thing for them to be involved. It's one thing for them to have regulations to making sure they look out for the modern, everyday American citizen. But it's another thing entirely where you the one running it. You're the one running it. Every city in the United States of America, at least it feels this way, is in debt. Don't know how to handle a bank account to save their damn lives. Nationally speaking, our debt has eclipsed $37 trillion. The state of California is billions in debt. New York City ain't too damn far behind. And we're supposed to listen to you say that you're going to be in charge of grocery stores? Really? Really? I mean, come on now. I'm laughing. I know my man Rashawn sitting there looking at me, probably smiling. I get it. I understand. But y'all know I'm telling you the truth. Now listen. Let me tell you this. City-owned grocery stores, housing by and for New York. Nothing wrong with that. We all need affordable housing. No doubt about that. All right. Cracking down on bad landlords. We all for that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Taxes on big corporations and the wealthiest New Yorkers. Fine. Mamdani, can you take advice from your boy Stephen A? Can you take a little advice, please? Why didn't you just take free buses, no-cost child care, and rent freezes and put them on the category of taxes on big corporations and the wealthiest New Yorkers? Why didn't you just lump it all under that one category? It wouldn't look as bad. Because guess what? Nothing's free. Everybody got to pay something. There's no way in hell it's free. You think the bus driver's going to drive for free? You think the train conductor's going to drive for free? You think free groceries are going to be given out? You think landlords ain't going to look to pad their pockets? The money coming from somewhere. So if it's coming from somewhere, where's it coming from? The wealthiest New Yorkers. That's where it's coming from. And big corporations. Why did you just take that and lump that all under that? It would have looked better. But you didn't do it. Instead, you told on yourself. And this brings us to a different subject and something more palpable. You understand? Something more palpable. And I want my team to listen. I want everybody to listen. I want Rashawn to listen. I want Sherry to listen. I want Izzo and Tom and Fudge and everybody. I want you listening. This is very important, Chris. I want everybody listening. It's very, very important. My staff tries to deny it, but they love me. They do. They try to hide it, but they love me. You understand? I get it. Because to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I got a secret to tell you that you might not realize. You know what that secret is? I'm a lovable guy. Don't tell people. Keep that to yourself. I'm a very, very lovable guy. But not a damn one of these people working for me for free. Every time I turn around, I got a different bill. And I'm not faulting them. You know why? Because every time I turn around, I'm looking to get paid by somebody else. Where the hell are these people coming from thinking they get to get stuff for free? Who are these people? I haven't seen them. I don't know what the hell is going on. Do y'all remember? Listen, most people that work for me and with me and all that stuff, they went to college. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to admit to you, college wasn't cheap. I'm fortunate enough to be on a basketball scholarship. But even before then, I had to pay. And the scholarship didn't cover everything. So I had bills. Do y'all know that when I saw Biden and them campaigning on eradicating student debt years ago, I was offended. I'm like, where y'all been? How come this stuff didn't kick in decades ago? I want to hear that now after I paid off all my debt. Remember that? I wasn't the only one. A whole bunch of people felt that way. We got to pay our bills. Who the hell are you to pay your bills? To not pay your bills. That's what we're saying. That's why we want a flourishing economy. That's why we're not completely opposed when the GOP says, hey, if you're an abled, younger body, you should be able to go out there and work. Now, the job opportunities got to be out there. But if the job opportunities are out there and you're an abled, healthy body, what the hell is your problem? As far as I'm concerned, if you are mired in poverty or you are an elderly individual or the combination of those two categories, no problem. We got to have folks back like that. But the rest of our asses are supposed to be out there trying to make it happen. That's the way it's supposed to be. And if it ain't that way, what's the problem? So when you hear Zohran Mamdani come out with freezing the rent and free bus rides and all of this stuff. Wait a minute now. Free child care. Hold on. When you see him being endorsed by AOC, when you hear the Jasmine Crockett's of the world and people like that going off, listen, I respect where your heart is. But at the end of the day, what you're really, really saying is, we want America to burn down. And we want to have something completely new. Why are people from all over the world trying to come across our borders? Because it's the land of opportunity. And if you're Mamdani and you're saying, no, because I saw him on national television indicate this. I'm not quoting him verbatim. So if I misquote him in any way, I apologize, but I don't think I am. I saw him on NBC this past week and Meet the Press. And he was asked about, billionaires. And he was talking about how nobody needs $1 billion. What? What? That's anti-American. That's anti-American. Of course, you should pay your fair share in taxes. Of course, you shouldn't be able to find loopholes to avoid you paying taxes, especially when you're making that kind of money. Of course, those things are true. But when this brother said that, what you were saying is nobody needs to make more than a certain amount of money. Who the hell are you to say that? This is America. That's not going to fly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, the Democrats, if AOC and Mamdani and people like and Bernie Sanders, if folks like that take over the Democratic Party, one or two things happening. The Democratic Party is toast, or America is. I personally believe more people in this country are centrist. Whether you lean left or lean right, you're relatively center. Let's compromise, let's work together, let's make certain sacrifices, but it doesn't need to be anything too extreme. We ain't operating on the fringes. They're trying to facilitate the fringes taking over. That's why Trump and them are feeding this. The Sean Hannity's the word. That's right, my buddy. That don't mean I agree with him. In his perfect world, in Trump's perfect world, in all of their perfect world, Jesse Waters, to all of them, let Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Mamdani and Bernie Sanders be the face of the Democratic Party. They ain't slick. We see what they're doing because they know that's a clear, beautiful recipe towards the GOP winning the midterms and ultimately the presidency in 2026 and 2028 respectively. And who's going to deny it? You think you could get away with looking into a camera and telling folks in the United States of America, yo, free education, free child care, free transit, and on top of all of that, nobody should be making $1 billion? You think you could get away with telling an American citizen that, and they don't think you're trying to burn down the very fabric of what makes America America? That ain't gonna fly. That ain't gonna fly. And I got to tell you right now, I've never been more disgusted with the city of New York myself than what I saw during Biden's time in office. I'm not down for sanctuary cities like that. I'm all for helping immigrants and migrants be in this country legally. I'm all for that. Just get in line like everybody else that got here legally did. But I'm all for that. I don't want the dissipation of different populaces in this country. No. It's a mosaic for a reason, a gorgeous mosaic for a reason. I'm all in support of that. But there is no doubt that once Biden had open borders and over 12 to 14 million people crossed those borders, that it compromised us economically. These are facts. There's no way around it. And because that's our reality, and it was a reality that was instigated primarily by the Biden administration because no other administration had wide open borders. Nobody had that. Reagan didn't have it. H.W. didn't have it. Clinton didn't have it. Bush didn't have it. Obama didn't have it. Obama deported more people than Trump. Come on now. Biden is here's what, and what's most egregious about it is that Biden was the vice president to Obama. How do you become the president 4 years after Obama departs from office and forget everything the man you served under as vice president pushed forward? We got sound all over the place, footage all over the place. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama, before Trump and Biden, talking about, yo, you got to come in here legally. Can't have open borders. And if you felt that open borders were wrong and you didn't do it, how are you going to be a promoter of sanctuary cities? We talking dollars and cents. Why are we talking dollars and cents? While people will want to attack our humanity. Because guess what? You're looking for people who have to finance those who don't, which is fine. But that's still requiring dollars to come out of other people's pockets. You got to justify that. And it can't be by attacking people's soul and their humanity because of your irresponsible leadership. You got to lead. You got to know what a budget is. You got to know where cuts need to take place. You got to know what needs to be financed while feeding the capitalistic system that we live in. You don't get to do it by ignoring it and call yourself a leader in the United States of America. Oh, hell to the no. You can't do that. You're not going to get away with it. That's what we're talking about here. Eric Adams, a guest on this show in the past. He will be again, by the way. Eric Adams is priding himself on being a centrist and somebody that's not anti-Semitic. Of course, the Jewish issue is going to come up because Mamdani has been considered to be a pro-Palestinian supporter. And he considers Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, a war criminal. Said he'd arrest him the second he got in the city if he were the mayor. This is what the man has said. That's where he's at. And still won the primaries. So now we're seeing something here. And with that kind of rhetoric, with that kind of verbiage, with that kind of stuff going on, and him still winning a primary, that's significant. So we're going to see what happens. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This is just my opinion. I find it virtually impossible to believe that somebody that campaigns on an agenda like this is going to win in the midterms or a presidency. Mamdani might win in New York. Somebody similar to him might win in California. But traveling the country the way that I have over all of these years, there is no way in hell the average general voter out there is going to support him. Now, in fairness to Zohran Mamdani, you are always welcomed on this show, my man. I'm not going to invite Mayor Eric Adams on the show. I'm not going to have Andrew Cuomo, former 3-term governor, on the show and not invite you. You are invited on this show. AOC is invited on this show. Jasmine Crockett is invited on this show. Bernie Sanders is even invited on the show. I only say that because the man is in his 80s. And how much he'll resonate with my audience, I don't know. But hell, he's Bernie Sanders. So he's welcomed on the show too. What I'm saying to you, you're welcomed on the show. And I don't disagree with everything that you're saying. But some of this stuff is a bit extreme. And it has to be stated. This is not what's going to win for the Democrats. I can tell you right now, I'd never vote for that. I wouldn't vote for the MAGA right, and I wouldn't vote for the extreme progressives on the left. Hell no. I'm a centrist. I like negotiation. I like compromise. I like both parties showing there's something we could work with. We could work it out. That they're not giving this impression that if it's not exactly what they think it should be, that the world is coming to a freaking end. I don't want that. I don't want that. And I got news for the Democrats out there that's going to adopt Mamdani's approach. It's not an accident that we haven't heard from Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries or Minority Whip Chuck Schumer. Y'all want to call it from the old guard. Fine. It's just far more sensible than what Mamdani is apparently proposing. New Yorkers might go for it for a moment. For New York City. The state of New York wouldn't go for that. Not in the burbs. You cancel that dream. And most of the country ain't going to go for it. I'm telling you what I know. This is serious business here. Everything can't be free. And if you're talking about taxing the rich and taking money from them, look, man, our tax codes and everything else, there's loopholes that'll be found. Or if push come to shove, they'll simply take their businesses elsewhere. Just like California lost some of its business, New York will lose some of its business. And if America keeps on this path, they'll lose some of its business. You see how Trump's trying to get folks back? What do you think the tariff war is all about? It ain't just the money that we paying out while we're getting hosed by other nations. It's the fact that they're not only are they not promoting and buying our products, they're not bringing their businesses here, but we're bringing our businesses there. He's trying to get businesses back in America. I'm not saying he's going about it right. I'm not sure he's handling it right. I really don't know. Time will tell as we see the big, beautiful bill and all that comes of it. But it's clear that there's tens of millions of Americans who believe the path that we've been on has been a gross one. Not beneficial to the United States of America. Normally, when we're thinking about change, we're thinking about a capitalist coming in here and handling business in a fashion that shows it's beneficial to all of us as Americans. What Mamdani is proposing, what AOC and Bernie Sanders has endorsed, is the eradication of America as we know it. Of course, most of us don't have a problem with that until we see it come to fruition, and then we realize we really do have a problem. For example, when you pull out your check and more than half of it is gone because the government took it. Sure you want that? Are you sure? I'm just asking. Coming up, the NBA trade market continues to make waves, and now the start of free agency is upon us. Are there any moves out there that could put a team on the Oklahoma City Thunder's level? It's a good question. I've got some thoughts, plus another WNBA headline that has Caitlin Clark effect written all over it. And there have been some naysayers, some critics coming after yours truly. I don't respond all the time, but sometimes I choose to because it's necessary sometimes, and other times because I damn well feel like it. This is one of those times. I feel like it. Since I'm going to be gone for a few weeks, since people get on my nerves, I might as well get on theirs. More of that up next. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube. Of course, iHeartRadio. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, free agency officially opens in the NBA. While this year's free agent class may lack some of the star power of years past, we've already had a flurry of big moves made via trade, including KD to the Rockets and Desmond Bane to the Magic. We also saw the Celtics deal Drew Holiday to Portland and Kristaps Porzingis to Atlanta. And this weekend, Utah sent Colin Sexton to Charlotte, and the Bulls traded Lonzo Ball to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Meanwhile, with the Lakers, LeBron opted in to the second year of his 2-year deal that will pay him $52.6 million this season, while Austin Reeves declined a 4-year extension worth approximately $90 million. By far, the biggest potential domino remaining is the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo, but there's no current trade market for him because he has not asked out of Milwaukee. In the event that he does, my buddy Brian Windhorst has stated my Knicks would be very interested in making an offer, as would many other franchises, I'm sure. Here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. The only way that Giannis Antetokounmpo will end up a New York Knick is if he specifically goes to the Milwaukee Bucks and says, I want out and I want to go to New York. The reason I say that is because if he just says I want out and Milwaukee has the license to trade him elsewhere, the assets that they could get for his services are considerably better in other places than they are in New York. New York doesn't have what you would like. Why? Because they gave away 5 first-round picks, 4 unprotected for Mikal Bridges last summer. That's why. So because of that, could you imagine if the New York Knicks had 2 first-round picks? We got 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks plus a Karl Anthony Towns and maybe Mikal Bridges for Giannis. Could you imagine? That would have been special. But that's not what they have. And so because that's not what they have, their situation is what it is. You can only hope and pray. I will tell you this. When I look at free agency right now and I look at some of the names, and 3 names come to my mind. And I'm going to tell you the 3 names, okay? When we look at it, DeAndre Ayton, who's now a free agent after being bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. We got to pay attention to that name. Miles Turner, we saw what he does. I know he struggled in the NBA Finals, but he's a damn good player. And definitely he's a big body that can help the Knicks. Plus, he's got an outside shot, even though much of that didn't show up in the Finals. But still, he wasn't god-awful. He just struggled a bit. But Miles Turner can play, and I would love to see Miles Turner in a New York Knicks uniform. It would be either him, DeAndre Ayton, or Clint Capella. Okay, who's also a free agent now. Now, here's the issue with DeAndre Ayton. He's got a very bad reputation. I mean, stuck in his driveway because of bad weather and couldn't get out. That's why he missed 1 practice. A headache, somebody that is a bit temperamental and doesn't want to listen. I remember when he was in Phoenix, a lot of people thought that Chris Paul was his coach instead of Monty Williams because he didn't want to hear from Monty Williams. You know, that kind of stuff. And then he goes to Portland, and Chauncey Billups is the head coach in Portland. Chauncey Billups is a player's guy. And he and the rest of them got to a point where you couldn't give DeAndre Ayton away for a box of cookies. So that's your situation with him. Nevertheless, the New York Knicks are so desperate for bigs, and the reason I say that is because you don't want to see Karl Anthony Towns at the 5 again. He had to play the 5 most of the season when Mitchell Robinson was out. And then even when Mitchell Robinson came back and had great moments in the playoffs, by the way, you still saw too much of Karl Anthony Towns closer to the basket instead of shooting that sweet stroke that he's got from 3-point range. That's what you need. So you need an additional big body if you're the New York Knicks. Okay? That's number 1, and you probably need another bona fide scorer. Me personally, I like Cam Thomas. He's a restricted free agent with Brooklyn, so you probably wouldn't get him. But they just need somebody that can come off the bench that's going to be instant offense. You understand? I like McBride, but come on now. He's not Cam Thomas level, and he's not yet. LeBron opting in, so what? We knew that was going to happen. His son is on the team. He's a member of the league. He's not going anywhere. So we knew that. By him just opting in and still having another, 1 year, he's putting the Lakers on notice that, you got to ante up and make sure that you build this roster so we got a better shot at winning. I applaud Austin Reeves for passing and declining on a 4-year, $90 million option. Austin Reeves is worth $30 million a year, easy. Easy. So to me, the minimum that he should have gotten offered was $120. $30 million above what was on the table. Austin Reeves can do some things. I'm Austin Reeves. I'm sorry. I'm of that mindset. Ain't no way in hell I'm signing a $90 million extension. He did the right thing. He did the right thing. So we'll see what happens. I think Desmond Bane upgrades the Orlando Magic. They'll be a team because I'm a Paulo Banchero. I'm a huge fan of his. Okay? Franz Wagner, I mean, he can play, but Banchero is the real deal. Hey, listen, Mosley can coach. And so when I look at Orlando and I'm thinking about them having a bona fide shooter now, because Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was not the answer for them. No disrespect, he's a champion, but he didn't have a good season last year. But when you look at Desmond Bane and what he brings to the table, an 18-point-per-game scorer, a bona fide 3-point shooter in this league, him being that kind of threat, that's something you should welcome, no question about it. He's happy, he's ecstatic to be there. So you got that going on, all right? I'm just of the mindset right now, KD in Houston, if Kyrie and Anthony Davis come back now that you got Cooper Flag, Chris Paul is an interesting thing. Me personally, I would love to see Chris Paul in L.A. I really, really think they need a point guard. And obviously him and J.J. Redick are former teammates with one another. So they have history. I think it would be great for CP3 to be a point guard in L.A. That's where he lives in the offseason anyway. I think that would be fantastic. However, there's no denying that him in Minnesota with Ant-Man would be formidable as well, because CP knows how to run the show, and I think Mike Conley's best days are obviously behind him. I will say this. They want Ant-Man on the ball. Everybody else, as the season progressed, that was a great move. Against Oklahoma City, not so much. Not so much. And so because that's your reality, I'm just looking at it like you got to figure out something. Okay? But as it pertains to my New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, I can't see them. I see them. They don't even know who their coach is yet. That has become just a dysfunctional situation. We thought we were beyond this shit. But now we got to deal with the Knicks, and you get rid of Tom Thibodeau, who took you within 2 games of the NBA Finals. And yes, his stubbornness could wear on you. His unwillingness to listen and embrace other people's ideas, and he just wants it his way or whatever. It cost him, no doubt about that. As successful as Tom Thibodeau was, you got to be able to work with people. And it appears that wasn't his strength. So they go in a different direction. But how do you go in a different direction and you don't know what the hell the direction is? I mean, do you have any idea who the Knicks have reached out to for permission? Yes, you reached out to talk with Ime Udoka. Houston declined that. He's under you got 2 years left in the deal. Same with Jason Kidd in Dallas. This damn organization reached out to Quinn Snyder, the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I'm not saying Quinn can't coach, but what has he done in Atlanta that would make you think it's great to get him from Atlanta to come to New York? Now you're hearing Dawn Staley is a candidate for the New York Knicks coaching job. Let me say this. This is the last point I'm going to make about NBA free agency, and then I'm going to move on to something else. So the last thing I'm going to say. I don't mind the idea of Dawn Staley being a coach in the NBA. Just like I didn't mind the thought of Becky Hammon being a coach in the NBA. I'm old school in this regard. I don't believe that men should be coaching in the WNBA as head coaches. Why? Because where's the women coaching in the NBA? If you got your sport as a gender, how come they can't have theirs? I don't like that. There's plenty of women out there that can coach basketball. Why you got to be a dude coaching in the WNBA? The ladies don't get to coach on the NBA level as a head coach. So if you're going to do that and you're going to give men the opportunity to coach in the WNBA, maybe it's time that we see a female as a head coach in the NBA. And if there's a female that can coach in the NBA, there is no question in my mind that Becky Hammon and Dawn Staley should be your top 2 choices. I'm never going to fail to mention Nancy Lieberman, because that woman knows some basketball. And she's beloved by a lot of people and can talk to anybody. But the first 2 names that come to my mind is Becky Hammon and Dawn Staley. I would love to see one of them coach in the NBA. I would absolutely, positively love it. So let me just say that. By the way, I'll get to the WNBA by simply saying this. I'm not going to even tease it. Because I'm going to give the WNBA a shout out here. The league has announced it will expand to 18 teams over the next 5 years, adding franchises in Cleveland in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia in 2030. These franchises will join Toronto and Portland, who will begin play next season. The Golden State Valkyries began play as the league's 13th team this season. So essentially, they're going to expand to 18 teams. First of all, I'm happy for them. I want the league to grow. I want to support the league as well. Me personally, as an aside, I think I should get courtside seats whenever I want them, especially since I'm always willing to pay for them. I have no idea why it's such a hard time for me to get courtside seats to these games, but that's a different subject for another day. Having said all of that, let me say this. Are we ready to admit the Caitlin Clark effect? Is this happening without Caitlin Clark? Without the popularity? Because we've seen what happened to the ratings when she was out for those 2-3 weeks. Remember that, right? Don't let me bring that up. Don't let me get some receipts now. When Caitlin Clark was out, the WNBA's popularity dissipated. That is a fact. Ticket prices, television ratings. It's a fact. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. That's not to throw shade on a product and act like it doesn't grow at all. It's not to say that there was an improvement and there wasn't an elevation in its popularity. It's just saying that it's on another dimension when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Do you know what the best thing that could happen for the WNBA is right now? Are you ready for this? If Caitlin Clark and the Fever win the championship. If that girl wins the championship this early in her career, with Juju Watkins ultimately coming to the WNBA, if not next year, the year after suffering her knee injury, that girl is special. See, everybody talk about Caitlin Clark, and I got mad love for Caitlin Clark and what she brings to the table, even though I do acknowledge that she instigates a lot of the stuff, a lot of the vitriol that comes in her direction, because she could talk some smack now. And she can get in your face. She can antagonize you. She ain't some innocent Andy here or innocent Amy or whatever. Okay, that's not Caitlin Clark. But let me tell y'all something right now. Y'all want to see somebody that I think will put on a show in the WNBA, assuming she comes back 100% healthy, which I believe and pray that she will. Juju Watkins out of USC. That young lady is special. And she's coming. Knee injury and all, I'm telling you. Paige Becker's going to come back. She's going to come back. And watch what she does. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just as an aside. Before I get on out of here today, I want to preface my comments by my pending comments by saying, my staff didn't want me to do this. You know, they didn't want me to bring this up. So because of them, out of respect for them, I'm not going to mention names or the trifling ass individuals that keep talking shit about me. See, I don't mind. That's the thing that people miss. This kind of stuff makes me happy. It's right up my alley. It's right up my alley. It don't bother me. It didn't bother me before I got paid. It didn't bother me before I returned back to Sirius XM starting September 2nd. It didn't bother me before I had my own YouTube channel. You know damn sure don't bother me now. Only thing that bothers me is when people ask me not to say anything. I like to choose, even though I have the power to do so. I like to choose, but I listen to my teammates. I listen to my staff. I listen to people who I know love and support me because they got my best interests at heart. You feel what I'm saying? So I get it. But I saw people on the air. First of all, let's go down the list. They got on me for playing solitaire for a couple of minutes during the NBA game. Even contemporaries on other networks were talking about me. And of course, you know a couple of people in the podcast stratosphere used to be in sports, but now can't get a damn job. So their job all of a sudden is being a media critic instead of covering sports, but we won't go there. So they got on me for playing solitaire. They said that I was upset that Max Kellerman, my former colleague at ESPN on First Take, I got upset because he's going to be calling the Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez fight in September. They looked at my face and said I was upset. They talked about the NBA coverage, and one site said that I was a net negative on the NBA coverage. Should check the ratings. Really should. But that's neither here nor there. People saying this stuff. Couple of things. Number one, I was doing my podcast here. While I was doing my podcast and waiting for some footage to be drawn up or something like that, you know what I was doing? Solitaire. I do it all the time. Why? Because I want to, that's why. I do what the hell I want to do on my platform. Secondly, Were you around when I was traveling about 200 days this year? Were you around when I worked over 325 days this calendar year? I'm talking about the last 365 days, not since January 1st. Were you around? I love how y'all trying to find something. I really, to my man Rashawn and Griff and everybody, yo, I got an announcement to make. I really have made it. I really, really have. I have made it. I mean, stop the presses. I've made it. Because y'all are making news. It was on the back pages because I was playing solitaire. I said it was during the timeout. Somebody said it wasn't during the timeout. Well, when the timeout finished, I was still playing it in the middle of the third quarter. And did you see me do 2 hours of pregame? ESPN and then ABC? You see me do halftime? Did you see me do postgame? Did you see me do first take every single morning? You're just making it up. Making it up. Max Kellerman. I'm upset about Max Kellerman. I have nothing against Max Kellerman. I didn't want to work with him on first take anymore. That's all. I didn't think we were good partners for a debate show. If we were doing boxing, if we were doing Sports Center or something like that, nothing. No problem. For a 2-hour daily debate show, I didn't think we worked any longer. That's all. Never wanted him fired. Never wanted him unemployed. Happy he's back. Because I don't wish for brothers not to get a check and not to be employed. And that brother is brilliant. And he deserves a check. And oh, by the way, you ain't going to find anybody that knows more boxing than him. I'm happy for him. Even though his boy will lie his ass off and say otherwise because he going to get more clicks. Y'all know who the hell it is. It's unbelievable. The shit that people make up just to create clicks because that's all you can do to get a check now. I'm not talking about Max. I'm talking about his peeps. Y'all know who they are with their podcast. You got to be kidding me. But it's all right. It's okay. Because you see, when you make stuff up and you're talking about me, you still have me in the headlines. Which means you believe I'm relevant. Which means you know that it will create clicks for you. And that really kills you, doesn't it? Net negative on NBA coverage? Are you insane? We talk NBA on First Take all the time. I'm on SportsCenter all the time. All I'm trying to say is what I really came here to say. I need this break. It's been a long season. Negotiations took a full year with ESPN. SiriusXM took bumps. I'm very, very happy where I'm at. Very happy that things worked out the way that they did. But over the process, I got something to tell y'all. I think I've gotten too mellow. I think I've been very nice, very quiet, and I haven't come out with the fire that I'm accustomed to coming out with. I actually think I've been more mild-mannered. I don't believe I've told enough people to kiss my ass. I don't believe I've told enough people you could go kick rocks. I don't believe that I've said enough about the people who talk shit about me lying all the damn time. That's going to end. I'll be back beforehand. But when I return to Sirius XM on September 2nd, when I come back from my vacation in August for First Take, y'all might see somebody a little different. Maybe not different, but somebody that's going to remind you of the good old days when I'd get in your ass. I'm not backing up. Y'all should thank the folks out there with the receipts I got. You should thank my staff. They are the ones that reel me in. The Sherrys, the Nellies, the Rashans, the Kevs, the Griffs, the Izzos, the crew. They the ones that reel me in. Because Lord have mercy. You got to understand, I live for this. Ain't no problems. I'm not saying they still ain't going to do that. But I got to tell you, I do believe I have been a little bit more mild-mannered than usual. I've been a little bit too PC because I'm just trying to get along. I'm a happy dude. You know, I got a lot to be happy about. And I just like to smile, and I like to laugh, and I like to have a good time. But I got news for y'all. I kind of like being pissed off, too. It makes me feel good. It's like cathartic to just let it go. So I'm going to take a break. Get myself rested. Get back in the shape that I was in before they had me on the road for the last 3 months, where I'm eating a bunch of fast foods and compromising my rest and eating too many burgers and too much sugar and all. I got to get back. Restore my energy. So I can address folks with the fervor that they deserve in the future. I'm not talking about my boy Dan Le Batard, who I love. Remember the other day he was on his show talking about, I got Max Kellerman fired. That is false, ladies and gentlemen. Max Kellerman departed from First Take and had not one but 2 shows for 2 years. The person who was fired was me. When I left in 2009, I couldn't get a job, and I had no money rolling in. That's not getting fired. But I hear you, Dan. I'm just giving that as a taste that although I'm still going to ignore 98% of the stuff that I hear about me, that 2% of the time is when I'll feel compelled to respond. Folks want to start some shit, I'm here for it. That's all I want to say. Y'all have a nice summer. I'll be around periodically right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Looking forward to talking to y'all as stuff unfolds during the summer, but especially looking forward to the fall and beyond. I got First Take. I got my own 2-hour sports radio show. I got a political show that's weekly as well. And that's just for starters. Either way you slice it, here I come. Buckle up. Y'all be ready, because I damn sure will be. Peace and love, everybody. Be safe. God bless. Holla at you anytime in the near